You're listening to the Visibly Fit podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett, and every week I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a naturopath, fitness expert, and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Visibly Fit podcast. I'm your host, Wendie Pett, and this is February. If you're listening to this during the time that we are recording, it's Heart Health Awareness Month. And so I have several guests this month that will tap into different areas about the heart, as well as a couple shows that I'll be bringing to the table as well. But I hope you will be blessed this month. I know you're going to be blessed by this show. It's all about how your feet and your heart connect. What do I mean? Well, you'll have to tune in to find out. But today's guest is Barbara Depta. She is the founder and CEO of Resync. And she is in the physical performance and sport recovery space. Her roster of career accomplishments includes being a stretch and structural balance coach for professional athletes, CEO and founder of the natural performance and recovery supplement line, Resync, and founder of a virtual coaching program called Beyond Stretch with a new patent-pending fitness rehab product called the Core Boot. And I'll give you guys more information about that at the end of the show. You don't want to miss your savings on the special that we have for you. But her passion for sports and athletics began in childhood. And so you're going to hear her story, and she's just going to unravel kind of where she is today and how her childhood story really propelled her to be where she is today. And she actually has, she's studied all kinds of education, but mainly at the University School of Physical Education. She studied in, how do you say it? It's going to be in Poland. Oh boy, should have looked at this one. Krakow. I'm going to say Krakow. That's probably not right. So forgive me, Barbara, and forgive me, University School of Physical Education. But she was involved, learned about health sciences, and she also went to the University of Massachusetts. And she went on to become a performance coach focusing on fascia stretch and structural balance training for top professional athletes in the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, PGA, LPGA, and UFC. That's right. She was very, very involved in the performance world with professional athletes. But her experience as a coach taught her that performing one's best requires the integrated, sustained, and heightened function of every system in the body, and that physical talent alone is diminished when and if recovery protocol is ignored. Convinced that certain ingredients could fill this recovery gap, Barbara worked with nutritionists, researchers, and scientists to bring to life her next venture, her line of plant-based performance and recovery support supplements, and that is Resync. And through Resync LLC, Barbara was able to create clean, consumable products designed for everybody, not just for athletes, who desire to perform at their best, and we all do, don't we? Refuel our bodies and support multiple primary functions of our body. Resync was first developed in 2017, and today it's the most popular plant-based nitric oxide recovery blend used in professional leagues. Barbara also realized that her knowledge of the body during performance and recovery as it applied to structural balance was something that she could bring to a wider audience of both everyday athletes, that's us, that's you and me, and the general population. I'm talking everyday athletes. She talks about how we're all athletes. So tune into that one. But through Body Stretch or Beyond Stretch, Barbara began offering a series of unique online training courses and rehab videos and webinars, as well as a line of rehabilitation wearables and workout products, including her innovative patent-pending Core Boot. Since balance, stretch, and flexibility start at the feet, The core boot focuses on the critical point that roots our bodies to the ground and sustains the pressure of our bodies, integrating our feet with core muscles and functional strength. You will be amazed at all that Barbara shares with us. Tune in, listen well, because this is going to be a valuable podcast episode. So thanks for joining us. Well, welcome to Visibly Fit podcast, Barbara. I am so thrilled you're on the show today because as we are recording this show, it is February, it's Heart Health Month, and most people tend to think of the physical heart, right? The physical heart, which we will talk about in this show, but we all need to be very aware of our emotional heart and how it does affect the physical and how we need to resync our heart. And I figured, I almost need to do a drum roll with that as the owner of Resync products. I think I really want you to just hop in right away and let's start talking about what would it mean to resync and what are you dealing with on a daily basis when you're working with athletes and other women, and what is your passion? And so let's kind of start with who you are as a person and why resyncing our physical and emotional heart health is important.
First and foremost, thank you so much for making me part of your family.
Yes.
Making me part of your emotional growth, making me part of your Heart Month. I really appreciate it. And before I will go anywhere else, of course, I need to address, did somebody tell you how beautiful you look today?
Oh, thank you. And likewise, my friend, likewise.
It's so important that we recognize the beauty within, right?
Yes.
But how we feel here, it really shows outside.
Mm-hmm.
And, Wendie, you ask me, tell the listeners who I really want to welcome and say hello. Thank you for your time, for being here, because time is pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And time is everything to us. And time gives us a perception of how we can view ourselves and how we can actually adapt and what surrounds us and who we are. Time allows us to revisit, realign,
Resync,
reconnect, and then resync. Yes. So who I am, I came from.
I hear a little accent. Yeah, let's talk about where you're from.
Just a little. I was born and raised in Poland, south of Poland, in a small town called Racibórz. Very hard to pronounce, probably for a lot of people, and I don't expect that. It's a beautiful town with a lot of history. South of Poland, close to Czech Republic.
Okay.
And, I lived there for 21 years. I decided to come to US with a dream to work with professional athletes. But before I did that, my life was surrounded, everything was by movement, athleticism, competition. And, as a child, we are being taught by our environment what do we really go after and why and how we're supposed to do it before we become our own guide in life and we start to actually have a closure on our emotions and who we are and feel comfortable about it. So as a little, girl, 8 years old, I had quite of a bad accident. Back in the day, I looked at it and it was nasty. It was, you can see my 19 stitches right here.
Yes, if you're watching on YouTube, check that out.
you really cannot really, I can't pronate my forearm, right? But as a child, I was a gymnast first, and I loved movement and I loved being active. And my love, put me in a pain. And initially, of course, a breath was taken out of me. How later on I've learned oxygenation is so important to the human body, human heart, human movement, yes. Nervous system. But when, with that accident, that trauma, that pain lived within me for many, many years. That energy was stuck in my body. And I was never taught or never healed from, unstucking that, revisiting that event, and revisiting it with compassion, clarity, and I would say, courage, not to feel the pain, but actually to rebuild resilience. And that, of course, couldn't be done by an 8-year-old, right? Maybe with a lot of, a teamwork and a family, making you aware of what really happened, and that it could be an opportunity to your growth, an opportunity to share your story and really learn from it. And the most important, it's get to know yourself.
Yes.
And I think when we speak of a heart, Wendie, physically, emotionally, it's really getting to know yourself. But to get you know yourself, you have to love yourself, and
Amen.
vice versa, right?
Yes.
You want to love yourself, but for some reason, and I always say you need the 3 C's, the courage, compassion, and clarity of mind. How can you get to know yourself? Are you prepared for the unconditional process that you will put yourself through, and be okay, be uncomfortable before you get very comfortable? And you and I had
Can
a
you
chance
repeat
to
that
speak.
again? Because I think that that's very important, Barbara. So many people are afraid to be uncomfortable. So say that again, because someone else needs to hear that one more time.
Of course. So I am truly believer, and I've done it, and I've done this with athletes. We need to understand, appreciate, honor the process of being uncomfortable before we become comfortable.
Yes. Yes.
And pain is just a communicator, it's a servant. I like to look at pain. You serve us. Now it's up to us, Wendie, how we want to look at pain. Is it a builder or is it disconnector?
Right.
How is it going to allow us to understand each other, ourselves first, before we connect with other people? And what does it really mean? Why is it communicating with me right now, right? And am I capable and allowing myself to listen? Or am I in such a chaotic place, and am I so disconnected that I am unable even to be aware that the pain is trying to communicate with me?
Yeah,
right?
It's
so important. It comes to awareness. And when I say pain is our servant, pain also masks our vision, and it masks our vision of who we are. You and I had a very brief communication about this in the event run by Own It.
Yes.
That when we are really being told as a kids to be independent, to do it on your own, to asking for help, it's a weakness. To deal with your emotions, just be quiet and deal with it. Toughen up.
Children
right?
are to be seen and not heard. Yeah.
But that pain becomes a fear. And if we are fearful, we are not ourselves. We really are not living.
Right.
We're just surviving. And I truly believe we are trapped in our own misconception,
misguided fears. Yeah.
and masks really our own vision of what life could be, what our heart can be, what it can give, how it can connect with others, and really how much we can love ourselves for everything that we went through. So
Yeah,
going through
it does.
that
It chokes out our love, right? Staying
love
trapped
for
in that
ourselves.
fear.
Absolutely. And
ourselves and others.
when I lost the breath in age of 8, and it was so local, right? I learned 20 years later how you need to revisit it, and how you can to do it with a compassion and appreciation, and understanding that a pain in a one place is going to translate to other places in your body.
Yes.
Like Our bodies are very intelligent, and we have the capability of storing our emotions,
At the
and our
cellular
body
level.
remember.
Yeah.
You know, scientists still argue, as part of the soft connective tissue, fascia, the tissue that allows us to feel and to become resilient or pliable, and both. We understand right now, it's no argument, it's a fact. We know it impacts our emotions. So when you injure yourself physically or emotionally, that connective tissue is being impacted. And if it's the energy negative is stuck there, it impacts our emotionally. And it changes how we think of ourselves and the world around us. It's so important for therapists, physical therapists, massage therapists, osteopaths, craniosacral people, movement specialists like myself, to really be able to clean your own environment and love and understand your own body before you touch others. Because touch has energy, just like words and our emotions, right?
100%. And I want to put a pause on that for just a moment because those of you that might be listening, most of you are Christ followers, and you might think this is woo woo. And I have to tell you, it's not. I mean, energy, we are vibrational beings and we are energy. And so when Barbara's talking about that stuck stuff, that stuck trauma, that stuck emotion, it does affect the flow of the blood flow, oxygen flow, all of it, and how we're operating. And so I just had to share that really quick because sometimes I think the average person, when they start hearing about energy and that kind of stuff, I mean, I don't know. So I kind of go back with a lot of new age is old age, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing new under the sun, but it's about education and understanding how we are operated at the cellular level. And I know that that's your passion, and to get people in general, but women unstuck with that trauma, if you will, whether it was physical or emotional, so they can live to their fullest. So anyway, I just wanted to share that real quick.
Yeah, that's very important because you're emphasizing, again, something we touched upon in our short initial conversation.
Yeah.
And when I had the opportunity to share with you guys, the CEOs, owners of your own businesses, how powerful it is to create safe environment, right?
Right.
Safe environment for welcoming any change. And Wendy, that happens physically when women are trying to lose weight. They're not feeling safe many,
Right.
many times. And they are not allowing themselves to really go through the process successfully, joyfully.
Don't
In
you think that they
marriages.
say think it's too painful? Like they don't want to even step into the pain of
But
the process of breakthrough?
I don't think they ever even envisioned the process. So there's
Mm,
misguided, and again,
yeah, that's
our
good.
fear masks our vision, yeah,
Right.
of
That's
who we
good. That's
are, what do
good.
we want to do. So fear is we're trapped, and
Yeah.
it's, if you
Stronghold.
want to get out, love yourself, allow
Yeah.
yourself again to, that's what takes courage. Courage is not like, oh, let's go 10 pull-ups and that's, I'm courageous, I'm so fit, I'm so happy. Great. If you need that physicality, to first present with yourself that you are so fit and strong, because you need to first show it in a mirror before you believe in it, that's great if that helps you. Many of us don't need that.
Right.
We grew very much emotionally. To me, emotional intelligence is so much more powerful for growth and for changes within us, that's what I focuses with. And I wanted to empower myself from a pain as a child, and I did it as an adult.
Yeah. And as you were dealing with that pain, so this was from a, a gymnastics accident,
Mm-hmm.
and your
Yes.
father was a high
Mm-hmm.
level performance
Gymnast.
coach, gymnast as well, right? So you
Yes.
had that discipline ingrained. Yeah, especially I can picture it. I can actually picture it. So you had that. You were a product of your environment on some levels, right? And
Yes.
yet you've learned how to, I guess, maneuver that so that it's been kind to you now as an adult woman, but maybe at the time it was very, very difficult. But yet nothing is wasted, right?
Oh no, I had to recognize the value in the pain.
Yeah.
I think that's what really, even if, your listeners, your friends, your family, your followers, think of their journey as an opportunity to
Yes.
get to know themselves,
Mhm.
to get to love themselves
To
more on
forgive themselves.
you can't love yourself if you cannot forgive yourself. And if you
Amen. That's
cannot
right.
forgive yourself, why do you look from other people, other sources? You got to start with yourself.
Yes, yes.
It's so important when that layer of the pain, shame, fear, whatever is holding you back, if you can revisit that with compassion
Mhm.
and a joy and thinking of your purpose while you're doing it, you will meet your goals. I have no doubt. It's just really creating a safe environment when authentic, deep, powerful change can happen.
Beautiful.
So that's what I need to learn as had to learn as an adult from, how can I empower from the pain versus feeling resentment?
Yes.
And I did
Yes.
for many years, Wendie. I would
Yeah.
lie if I said I didn't.
Yeah.
I even felt it when I was working with NFL athletes. But, you heard my story I shared with you. Unfortunately, the doctor in ER was drunk, right? When I came with the dislocated, technically broken elbow. And without setting the bones correctly, he put a cast on top of it, and that caused blockage. Not only the bones grew in a wrong place, it caused blockage of a blood flow. And one day, within like 2 past weeks, because I supposed to wear the cast for 3 weeks, and I said to my dad, Daddy, it itches. It
At 8
itches
years
me
old, you're like,
under
this
8
is
years old.
uncomfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
Very uncomfortable. But then your dad says, honey, be comfortable. Use a tool, scratch something, put it, and make yourself comfortable. And you deeply know, this is not it. This can be uncomfortable. I can put with the pain, but there is a sign I need to do something. So I said, Daddy, we need to check. So
Mhm.
my dad took me to a hospital. The other doctor that was there, another doctor, not the same, opened the cast. And like I shared with you previously, my hand, my arm, my forearm was thicker and bigger than the forearm. Oh, I'm sorry, the leg of my father, thigh
Wow.
of my father was
Wow.
so much swollen. And the doctor said blood flow had nowhere to go. There would be blockage and your daughter could easily die. That was an awakening moment. It was, it was painful. I will say it was painful. It was terrifying for my parents. They were looking
Mhm.
for other options to not put me through the pain through 2 surgeries that the doctor said I had to have. So we traveled through Poland, and my parents they thought that it's easier or better for me. They tried to, ready? Reassess
Oh,
the
no.
joint
Mm-mm.
naturally.
Ouch.
So we went to a healer, and when they saw how the 2 healers, I will never forget, it was a city called Bielsko-Biała back in Poland. Do you know, when I think of that city, I only think of the pain, but I have a different perception of it right now. I can visualize myself, Wendie, on that table. It was a very wild and wide table, not like massage table. It was almost like a transitional table when they would take a patient from that table to another table, and they would strap me
Mm.
because they knew that I would be kicking from a pain. They
Sure.
strapped my legs. My mom was holding my right arm as the healer was trying to snap my elbow.
Wow.
I have chills when I do
I
know,
can
just
see it in your
remember
body
that.
and in your face right now. Yeah.
Oof,
Sorry.
when they realized the pain that that was causing,
Mm-hmm.
my dad said, time out, stop. He realized that it's more easier in a way for me to go under anesthesia and have that reassessed
Yes.
than going through a life and putting me through that trauma. Again, never regained the movement, but the lack of that movement generated a different healthy flow throughout my body and throughout my heart, because I've learned how to empower from that pain and appreciate the body we are given and how to take care of it nutritionally, but also emotionally.
Yeah.
So when I shared with you working with athletes, I always want them to feel, because when I can help them feel, I know I can cause a positive change.
And those of you that may not be watching on YouTube and just listening, Barbara is a petite, powerful young Polish woman. And for her to be in front of, I mean, I picture these huge linebackers or whatever, football. And I mean, she has earned their respect. But I want to talk a little bit about what you do with these athletes and what you've been doing all these years as far as a
Sure.
performance coach, and
Mhm.
how there really is balance in how we view our health and the actions that we take for our health. But you've been very involved in fascia stretch,
Mhm.
and from, we're only as healthy as we are from the ground up, right? And I know that you are a big proponent of footwork and the fascia in our feet. And we talked a little bit about how just the fascia itself, and a lot of people don't even know what fascia is. And first, I'll let you explain that because that's what you do, but holds everything together. But I'll let you go into detail. But I've used like golf balls, and I've used these kind of little balls to work the fascia in my feet and how important that is. But I want you, because this is what you do, to talk about the depth of how important it is that our feet are healthy so that even our heart is healthy, because I'm all about acupuncture and pressure, and there's a big part in that, and we can just talk and talk and talk, but I just want you to talk from your expertise and what you've done with athletes. Yeah.
You, Wendy, you speak to my heart. So I so appreciate giving me the opportunity to share. You've said many valuable things, but the one of the last ones that you said, and I want to emphasize and kind of go from the backwards forward, right? Not that we are really retracting so much or reprogressing, but you said feet are connected to our heart. And I want to pause and make that connection very evident.
Good.
Blood flow needs to go to your feet and from your feet back to the heart. Feet in Chinese medicine are considered, especially our calf muscles, a second heart. Because that's how the blood goes through your feet to your heart, from your heart all the way down. And people with poor circulation,
peripheral neuropathy, a lot of people are dealing with it. Yep.
Exactly, have a challenges, cardiovascular challenges. And I'm a strong believer there's a place and time for everything. If you neglected your body so far that you need to go temporarily use some kind of medication, please do what's right for you. But there is a way to pull back from medication and go into food, into movement. Food is medicine. It really is. Majority of medicine is made of foods. Extracts,
Talk
the
in my
right
language.
the right combinations, the right standardization, the right doses. That's what really medicine is. Now, movement is medicine. We, our body is meant to move. Our connective tissue, everything underneath the skin, and you said one of them, fascia, is one of soft tissues that has been ignored by our medical professionals for a very long time. And I always give people chances, and I want to compassionately approach them and say, you simply didn't know. Now that we do know, let's recognize the value of it, right? Let's not ignore it and scrape that white fuzzy stuff with scalpel. Let's actually honor it. And when you penetrate through different layers of your body, and when you are going into a hip, deeper into a joint, respect that tissue because it has a value and it connects the ligaments, it connects the tendons, it allows the muscles to contract and relax. So if your fascia is rigid, if your fascia is tight because of emotional and physical scars that you have within your body, there will be limitation within movement.
Limitations with balance and strength and flexibility, all of that. This is just functional fitness. Yeah.
100%. That's why, yes, I first created, fascial movement for football players, PGA Tour players, general population, because we're all athletes, just on a different level. Every day we move, just a different speed, different velocity. And very few of us respect our vehicle that carries us all day long. And, when I went into an NFL and had the honor to work with some of the best athletes, yes, there was a lot of, how are you going to do that? Like, you little thing, what can you do to us and for us, right? And, I like to say powerful things come in a small packages.
Yes.
And they really do. And I was, there was a very long period of time when I was their sunshine. And I would hear that from them, that I would bring a joy from, as simple as smiling and reminding them of their purpose and passion, because it can be challenging there. It's physical. We don't see what happens behind the door.
Which you can understand and relate and have compassion for, because you lived in a home with that kind of discipline.
Yes. Oh, my dad was relentless.
Right.
He doesn't even, at this stage, I always say, I'm so grateful for how you discipline me. I wish, and I don't even say certain things to him because he will not relate.
Yeah.
In order to relate, you need to give yourself the possibility to emotionally grow and be able to say, you were wrong. Mm-hmm. You really didn't know so much. And if you did, you potentially would do it differently, but you're so stuck in your ego and your actions that you just simply decided to be there and you're comfortably living there. And that's okay. Yeah. As long as he's healthy, as long as he feels good, as long as he makes small changes here and there that I guide him to do it, he's happy, everyone is happy, and I just really care about his well-being, nothing else, right?
Of course you do. But you have that compassion and understanding when working with professional athletes and the discipline and stress that they're under, right?
Many times, and at this point I stopped working with NFL, the team in itself, in 2018, because I created Resync, and we'll go into it in a second, right? But I try to not use words, but always, never. They're so limiting. So I'm sorry. Apologize.
No worries.
I really was there to try to connect them with what they were not paying attention to, their thoughts, and also bring the nutritional aspect, not just to replenish carbs and protein, but food has energy just like words and emotions.
Yes, it does.
And I had the capability to connecting with the athletes if I had them on the table and I would physically stretch them. I also had a power of my words to speak to them if I had them on the field. Yes, and we would start from the feet, movement and opening the body first, front and back, before we went into rotation. And the hands-on had its own value, but them moving within a breath and listening to their own body had way more power and appreciation because they could feel they had the power. Mm-hmm. And I was the tool. I was the connector for them to really get from place A to B and succeed at C. And that's how I looked at myself. It took me a time as well to appreciate where coaches were stuck without being resentful to their blockages. And that took me time, and that also took me the possibility of getting out of the facility, because I didn't live with them. I wasn't there 7 days a week. I also own my company, so I traveled back and forth. And when I did travel, I could see from the outsider again point of view, because when you're in the same environment, it's harder, really hard, to reassess, relate.
Mm-hmm.
You compete with your own negativity and your own inability. And then you look at other people that act very similar way. So you don't really have a positive change coming in. An outsider is not always, welcomed. So I have to work my way through to not be even approached as an outsider, but as a team member. That took years. That really took years.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm sure with you working with them, Barbara, if they followed through the protocol and really worked from the ground up and worked their fascia in such a way that it helped to eliminate injury.
Sure. Oh, that was huge.
Yeah.
We had a funny saying, connective tissue issues. That's what the athletic trainers would be saying, right? And initially, it was a statement that one time actually a podcaster made in our way out of Pittsburgh. I will never forget that. We were on a train to get to our plane, and he's saying, and it was like, more connective tissue issues again. And Wendie, I'm a believer again, like the pain is communicator. It can be a disruptor, but it can be a tool to connect us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, sometimes you need to allow people to fail and feel the pain before they can come to a senses and realize what really matters.
Yes.
And because not having, as powerful of a voice in 2014, 15 when I was there, but I had way more powerful voice in 17, 18 with them. And then outside of it, now in 2022, they trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I was trying to bring, they were fighting back in the day. They were just not ready for the change.
That's a good point right there too. I want to pause because they weren't ready for the change. So how many of you maybe that are listening that keep kind of going through that same cycle, and you're like, I know there's got to be a way to get out, but you're just not ready for the change or ready to embrace the pain for a moment in order to change. So that's good.
I truly believe people look at it from a superficial point of view, and we're so detached these times. And unfortunately, the pandemic caused it, depending where you and how you look at it, right? Again, perspective.
Right.
I look at the pandemic in a grateful way, saying you brought important points to our attention. Heart health, what it takes, that it's connected to immunity to heart health, breath, human connection.
Yes.
Just because we are physically distant, that doesn't mean we have to be emotionally distant.
Right.
And that's a huge, distinction. And I started to approach it and took the pandemic as an opportunity again to get to know myself even better.
Allows you to really establish and get back centered with your core values, right?
Oh, I realigned from the ground up, and there were moments, I don't share it in a pandemic. I actually, I was separated from my husband for 6 months. We are together.
Oh, praise God.
We did what we knew had to be done. Work on ourselves. Don't blame. Don't look at the other person saying that's because of you. Look within yourself what really needs to be addressed. What change you are welcomed and able to welcome at this moment. And can you be courageous enough to put yourself through that uncomfortable process?
It's good.
Wendie, 6 months, it was painful. It was very painful in the beginning.
Sure.
And I had to reevaluate myself. I had to come in a closure with my own fear, with my own, even during that stage, in stage where I am, and I look at myself, oh, I value myself so much. I have so much to give. And then there is a shame, and there is misplaced pain, misplaced judgment. Those were my blockers.
Yeah.
And it
So
allowed
powerful
me
that
to
you
go
took,
back.
it's so powerful that you took ownership, and then he did too. And
Oof.
how beautiful that y'all are together, because you worked on yourselves, and where you were broken, you were able to get healed and then come back together as a healthy individual, so that you're a healthy couple.
And it's so important to take ownership, right? It's something you know very much about,
Yes.
ownership of your own actions and thoughts and your feelings, honoring them, not pushing them away, honoring them, not condemning them, recognizing them, embracing them, and finding a peace and asking valid, powerful, really deep questions. What made me feel this way?
Yeah.
And it's not external, factors. It's within us that we made ourselves feel certain way.
Right. And it could be a suppressed feeling from our past, right? And it wasn't fully healed. I mean, there's so many different variables there.
Wendie, 99.9% our pain and fear comes from unmet future
Expectations.
expectations.
Yeah.
And unmet goals from the past, and our projections of ourselves from the past.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It's like, can we just be present today?
Can we appreciate what we have and what opportunity we have in front of ourselves?
Yes.
And, each stage, there wasn't one time when I started, I truly believe, my healing journey in age of 30, when I got a fascia stretch therapy, when I was going through my process to become fascia stretch specialist. And I was one of a few. At that point, it was like 35 of us in US, 2010, like 12 years ago. That's a long time ago.
And now we're hearing a lot more about fascia, which is fantastic. So you're doing a great job.
It was, I was one of a very fantastic group of people who wanted to spread the message.
Yes.
And, I truly believe it's not just one technique. You need to be able to exactly also move your body from the ground up, right? That's why I created core boot, something to release tension, but simultaneously allow the body, the feet, connect with a deep core muscles, because core starts within feet. The heart and core start with the feet. The myofascial connection that, some of the brilliant people in the industry of fascia, like Tom Myers, really created and showed his students. Myofascial actually trains were created for his students to understand anatomy of the human body better. And when you look at the human foot, there are different connections with the fascia, myofascia. And myofascia is really the connective tissue, fascia and muscles. So you really can't talk about muscles without fascia, and you can't talk about fascia without muscles. They're intertwined.
Right.
It's just we never address them or together, and what they need nutritionally, because nutritionally muscles needs completely different things that fascia needs it.
Right. The connective tissue, it holds our
body
together.
Yes. And so our emotions and our head and our heart, right? Like fascia is 70% made of collagen, the main protein in the body. Muscles, only 6%.
Yeah.
But every layer of the body needs collagen to sustain the pliability and allow us to move pain-free.
Right.
So, there's so many problems. It's like
I know, you're like, there's so much.
There's just so much.
Well, there is, and we can't cover it all. We can't cover it all here on this podcast. I would love to, but we would be on for hours. But I do know that I wanted to bring you on because I want people to hear the importance of taking care of your fascia, because even with the Visibly Fit exercise techniques that I bring to the table, it's important that you stretch over and beyond the moving isometric workout, right? And get that and do that self-care release. Or you're not going to be able to optimize and maximize your ability. And so I'll do a lot of feet work, with whether I'm like grabbing something with my toes, just aesthetically, trying to grab something with my toes and pick it up, using something to roll around on to release that myofascia. But what I love about your core boot is that you've got the kind of the built-in balls, if you will, they're not really hard. They're still squishy, right?
No, they're very pliable.
Yeah. And you have the ankle support. And I was thinking, because I remember this, there is a skier and a downhill snow skier, and I'm not sure if she's from Minnesota, but back in the day, I used to work for Vail, Colorado, back like 20 years ago.
Lovely.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's like a history a blast from my past, but it brought back this remembrance of this woman that her downhill skiing got better because she was overpronated in her arch and in her ankles, and they built some new supports to go into her snowshoes that realigned her ankles and her arch supports so that she had a steadier, more balanced way of going down the mountain. And so I thought that was fascinating. And it came to mind after I met you, and I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, the feet first, and how important that is, right? And your boots help keep stability in the ankles and also arch. Yep.
Yeah, I'm so, again, grateful for you to bringing up. Really am. Core boot was created with the same passion as Resync, right? Resync was created to really address connective tissue
and
oxygenation.
Resync is, because we didn't tell people what
Resync
yes.
So Resync actually is it's a brand I created that contains now nutrition, actually beverage that just came out during the pandemic.
Good.
That supports,
I love it.
Thank you. It supports heart, immune, and digestive heart. Digestive gut. And it also has vitamin D3, B6, B12, and C, but it has the red spinach, beets, and aronia, our proprietary blend that supports nitric oxide, the oxygenation. And we know today from the studies that nitric oxide relaxes fascia. When I created it for athletes to recover faster and to gain energy naturally, no stimulants. And later on, I realized how powerful actually nitric oxide is, and the blend that I've created for people 40 plus, because with an age, we are losing oxygenation, we are losing pliability, but we also decrease the molecule nitric oxide in our body, which is critical for heart health, for immunity, for your oral health, because that's where, the vegetables, particularly that are high on the nitrates, they convert in your mouth into nitric oxide. So your oral hygiene is very important to how you can convert your vegetables before they even are being digested and going through your, digestive tract. Oral health is super important to the health of the rest of the body. I truly believe that dentists at some point will be like our main doctors. I truly believe. I can see where the science is going.
There's more and more that are catching on, that are understanding the power of just
oral
bacteria and how it affects gut health and all of it, right? So they are
and
catching
the heart.
On. And the heart.
Huge.
Yep. I love that.
It was created in 2000. Well, when I was traveling with Baltimore Ravens, 2015, I flew to Geneva, and that's what I've learned about red spinach. Fast forward time, in 2017, finally, Resync Recovery, the first product came out. And it helped so many professional athletes perform and recover with the plant-based, base. I've got so many positive feedbacks. I don't pay one athlete. I really don't. First of all, I don't have the money to do it. And even if I did, I am a true believer. If something is working, You don't need to pay an athlete to say that.
That's
They
right.
are going to reach out to you via email, via text. They will find you. They
Hey,
found me
I was
and they
posting on
reach out.
social media. You didn't ask me to do it. It's because I don't do that with every product, right? It's because I genuinely felt a difference and I really like the product and I like the
Thank you.
person behind the
Thank
product.
you.
And I
Thank
love your
you.
heart that goes with it. And so we will have in the show notes where you can get a discount and
Yeah,
the code
absolutely.
that you can use. So I'll have that in the show notes. Make sure you check that out, and I'll share it at the end
Absolutely.
of the
Yeah.
podcast as well. So thank you for bringing that to life, because I love Resync and I think it's got a valuable place with our health.
I do too. I actually, the collagen that I mix with a hot water when I'm in the office, and it exactly has the, collagen, super important for fascia, the red spinach, beets, aronia, vitamin C, glucosamine, Boswellia serrata, copper, super important nutrients for collagen to actually synthesize, because white powder collagen in itself doesn't do anything. So can we just say it out loud?
Yes.
Like, no, it doesn't. And then another thing for your listeners, it doesn't exist something that marketers are trying to say it does, vegan collagen. It just doesn't exist. Vegan collagen, again, doesn't exist because collagen comes from bones, crustaceous, from
marine,
and from animals or fish, right?
Yeah, right.
Listen, there are some chemists that are working on creating a vegan collagen. I'm wishing them absolutely good luck, because it would be fantastic for everyone to have that option, but it doesn't exist right now. It doesn't exist.
Right.
But so I did, Resync to support athletes nutritionally. Like I shared with you in my talk at Own It, that I wanted to bring nutritional value so they could feel what I was doing to them physically. Flow, flow of good energy, right? Even though it's not felt like when you have a coffee or some stimulant, I know it's going to do goodness in between the layers of the body. It has the ingredients to get that job done. The same I wanted to then bring back to additional movement, because not everyone has the right proprioception. People don't know, like I said, we're so disconnected, Wendie, right? From kinesthetically, kids less and less are moving unless they are part of some teams, but kids should have the ability to go and move and run, and express their feelings through movement.
Get off the computer and the games and the go and be a kid.
Partially, core boot was created to bring proprioception and awareness of their body where it is in space. And, it was more created, again, thinking athletes. Yeah. The idea came out in 2018, but I finally got a patent. I got the awareness that I will get the patent in 2021. And I'm just waiting for the paperwork. So I'm super excited. But the point was just like with Resync, I thought athletes. And then once you realize and you teach yourself more and more about your own tool capabilities, you're just like, wow, what was I thinking? Why would I limit myself so much just to athletic performance?
Well, and like you said, we are all athletes, just on a different level.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
And for reiterating that exactly to everyone. We all walk. We all serve someone and ourselves every day, and we want to feel our best from the ground up. But when you wake up and there is a tightness, stiffness in your feet, it translates, penetrate up the chain. It does. So I thought, okay, touch is powerful, and we said that it has energy, and we know gentle is more powerful than hard.
Yes.
Science tells us, again, it's not, something I came up with just because gentle touch heals me, and powerful, I would say manual therapist helped me to get out of my own pain. There is a power with a gentleness that we can even add into the foot and other parts of the body. That's why my beyond stretch myofascia balls are very gentle. they are soft, but they're also resilient enough that when you step on it and when you position your foot into either dorsiflexion or plantar flexion, just like a ballerina, yes, or the opposite to ballerina, you engage rest of the body properly. Because again, we said that there are myofascial connections, the fascia and muscles from the feet that are connecting your calves, are connecting your hamstrings, are connecting your lower back, connecting your neck. And I wasn't the first one who said it, but it got my attention when my two colleagues said to me. One was Lisa Upledger, who I adore and I love so much, dear friend of mine, who works magic with her hands. She's one of the top cranial therapists in US. She teaches other therapists. Nice. And whenever I had a discomfort, headache, before I went through my transition, she would start at my feet.
Like and acupuncture?
I'm like, no, not even that. It's, Lisa has a specific way of maneuvering and moving energy around the body. It's magical. Wendie, like you said, there are people who don't believe in it, right? So it's almost you have to go through it to feel it, sure, and to understand it, appreciate and saying, okay, it exists, it happens, and I could feel it finally, but you need to allow it, right?
Well, it does have. I'm going to actually go Bible here for just a moment, because there's, and I don't know if you happen to know the story. I know you may have a different philosophy and background with your faith, but what I'll say is there is the parable of the woman with the blood, the issue of a blood. She was going through menstrual cycle for 12 years, 12 years. And she was in so desperation to get healed that she reached out and touched the hem of Jesus's garment. And he wanted to know who touched me. Like he felt her energy. And she was healed by reaching out in faith and touching his garment. And so I'm talking even energy and power there too. So just want to share that.
It's essential. So thank you for bringing it up. It's transferred years into now us humans. And some of us, carry better energy than others. Some of us are meant to do a healing work, and some of us are meant to embrace it, right? And there are others that are just like we said, are not ready. So with getting work done on myself for many years, I understood the value and I wanted to bring it to other people. And it was me designing programs, going to athletes, helping them hands-on and creating, movement routines prior and after practices. And then how can I do that with core boot? Well, I need to bring the awareness back to a foot, to the ground, to our foundation. And, you can use the balls in itself to open up your foot, to open up that flow, to give yourself that energy, right? And then I take you through another stages when we actually put the ball to the front of the pocket, because the boot has two pockets. One is on the front of the foot, and then one is on the back of the foot.
And the one on the front, Barbara, is the one that is affecting the heart, because that's where your heart acupuncture or pressure area is. Right?
Yes.
Since we're talking feet to heart today.
Yes. And you know what? I will create a visual maybe connection. If somebody is listening right now, if they're not seeing our faces and, my gesticulations with hands and happy faces, they can maybe close their eyes and think how, when you are gently tapping with your foot on top of the ground, how you have the possibility to speed up and influence the blood flow into your heart,
like and on the ball of your foot, on the little on the ball.
Yeah, right underneath your toes, right? Like underneath the toe, there's the ball of the foot. And that's when, when you put the core boot on with the ball on the front, you tap into that energy. Not only that, you release the tension in the connective tissue.
Love that.
And then we connect the foot with your ankle, with your hip, with your core and rest of the body. And that's powerful. That's when you understand kinesthetic intelligence. That's when you start to appreciate the dimensional strength you can generate from the ground up, and how important stability and mobility in your feet really is for staying healthy altogether.
I love
And
that. Yep.
when I created and I started to play with it, sometimes I'm in my office and I would take a time out and I would just do something glitter, and I'm like, oh, how I didn't come up with that earlier. It's the layer by layer of our awareness that we allow ourselves to learn something new about ourselves and not feel shameful of not knowing, but appreciating the growth within us.
I love that. And giving yourself permission to take that self-care time to do
Yes,
so. I love that.
because
Yeah, you're amazing. I'm just like, I mean,
oh,
we are almost already at, I don't know, going on an hour, 50 minutes, and I could talk to you forever. I know.
really?
Yeah, I
Wow.
know, right?
Wow. Time goes by when you
50.
have fun.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I have such an appreciation for you. I feel like we are kindred spirits on some
Likewise.
level because we just talk about similar things as far as emotions and heart
Yes.
and just the physical opening up. And anyway, I just appreciate you and all you're doing and the way that you are such a powerhouse and getting out into the world what really God has created you to do. And you've used
Thank
your
you.
pain to come out to another place to serve others. And that's a beautiful thing. And so thank you for being you. I want to kind of end this without like abruptly ending this, but
Sure.
I want to end this just kind of asking you two questions. One, who is your biggest influencer and why? I've put you on the
Hmm.
spot. I'm sorry.
There's not a one person, because I would limit myself. I really would. Um, Never one thing ever, because it's very, very limiting. I will always go back to me. I need, not selfishly, not egoistically. I can't. I need to be my own guide. I need to listen to myself while listening to others. By the end of the day, as a CEO of a company, I listen. I need to be able to, and I've learned how to do it compassionately over years without resentment again. By the end of the day, I need to find the power within myself to realign and to guide myself. By the end of the day, that's within me, within my heart. So I have advisors, absolutely. I trust certain people to take their advice. They trust me that by the end of the day, I make the decision.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have that powerful connection within myself, allowing myself to fail and allowing myself to later realign, I could place different people, different motivational speakers that I love, value, appreciate so much, and embrace every day. It will be just another, listening to a podcast. It will be another thing. It will be just very superficial. No, no, no. I am the person that I really look up to. I need to, and I've learned that to look at it from a compassion kind way versus egoistic way. And I really want to make sure that people understand this. It took me years to understand it's within me that I need to listen to myself and guide myself. I absolutely value people around me, and I would be so selfish in a way and unhealthily stating, oh, I know it all. Absolutely not. I just have people I trust that I listen to,
Yeah.
and there are my voices of reason. By the end of the day, just it's you, Wendie. By the end of the day, it's your husband. By the end of the day, each one of us has ourselves. That's why it starts with you, it ends with you. It's gotta be you, who you feel comfortable. You got to find the comfort within every layer of your body, to love the person you see in the mirror every day and
Yes.
appreciate the efforts that the person puts on this earth to create something better, bigger than ourselves.
Well,
So
loving
I
ourself
hope
is loving our creator, right? It's we are created in
exactly
his image. So
correct.
absolutely.
So do you know what? I think that people have the bigger, vision of my answer, not just, oh my God, she is
For
so full of
sure. They
herself.
get it. No, we don't think that at all, Barbara.
And we
It's obvious.
started, right? We started with loving ourselves.
That's right.
And it's the month of, heart
Heart
and
health.
heart health. And I will go back into that fully. That's what I would like to resonate to answer your question. But I think you have
That's
one more,
beautiful.
right?
Well, I do, but I think that might be the answer, what you just said, because it would be what would be one word that would sum up the entirety of who you are. And it might just be loving yourself, loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you
Mm-hmm.
answered them both all in one. So well done
Mm-hmm.
without even knowing that second question.
Thank you. No, you allowed that answer to come naturally
Oh, that's so good.
without really even asking it. And I think that, what, that is also the power. Powerless, again, is in listening, right? And
Yes.
allowing that silence to generate answers for us that we didn't see coming.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I really would love your listeners and everyone in your life to get silent and get comfortable with it and be uncomfortable being silent for a bit, because good things will come out of it.
I love that. What a great way to wrap it up. Barbara, I have such respect for you. Thank you from the
Thank
bottom of
you.
my heart during this
Thank
Heart
you.
Health Month
Thank
for
you.
coming on and spending the time with us. And stay tuned, those of you listening, because I will have Barbara's website and a promo code that you can use to get your products, because you do not want to go without that. But thank you, Barbara, for being on the show.
Thank you, Wendie, for having me. I really appreciate your time and your passion and everything you do. Please.
All right. I hope you enjoyed the show. Barbara Depta is just a wonderful human being. And so I hope you learned a lot. I know it was a long show, but there were so many great nuggets of information in there. And it's just a reminder that our heart is affected by our feet health. And so it's so important that we do something about it and take action. And so I want you to do that. I want you to take action by going to beyondstretch.com and putting in the promo code Wendie P, WENDIEP. And that's all in capital letters. It is case sensitive. And that way you can help support the show. It is an affiliate code, so I do appreciate that. And also, if you put in that same promo code and you go to resyncproducts.com, and all this will be in the show notes as well, in case you're driving or something like that, but it's RESYNC products.com. Put in that same promo code and you will receive $5 off at the checkout whenever you get the Resync products. And I love the drink. So I'm telling you, it's awesome, and it's chock full of nutrients. So check it out, and appreciate your support as well. And I believe that you will be blessed by the Resync products and also the core boot. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts and comments. So please share with us, whether it's on YouTube or if it's on social media. We appreciate you tuning in to Visibly Fit. Please share this episode with your family and friends, and God bless. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com. And thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing, not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a visibly fit day.